Have you ever seen someone smash a coconut at a temple and wondered what's that all about? Well, it's not just some random tradition. It's tied to this incredible mythological story. A story with a huge mistake, a truly shocking demand, and one of the cleverest solutions you'll ever hear. So let's dive right into the story behind the sacrifice. I know, right? That sounds absolutely wild. Did Ganesha really demand his own father, Lord Shiva, as a sacrifice? It seems impossible. But this question is at the very heart of the story. And believe me, it all kicks off because the gods, known as the Devas, got themselves into some serious trouble and made one massive mistake. All right, so let's start with part one, the Devas' mistake. You see, the gods were up against a wall, facing a problem so big it threatened their entire existence. And they were getting desperate. So what was this big problem? Well, picture this, total chaos in the heavens. These incredibly powerful demons, the Triparasuras, were just tearing everything apart. They were wrecking the cosmos. And the Devas? They were losing, badly. They were totally outmatched. So when you're that desperate, what do? You go to the biggest, most powerful being you know. And for them, that was Lord Shiva. He was the only one they believed had the power to turn the tide. So they rushed to him, basically begging him to lead their army against these demons. Okay, so their plan seemed pretty straightforward, right? Step 1, get Shiva on board. Check. Step 2, build this amazing souped-up celestial chariot for the big fight. Check. But then, step 3, the lack of a step 3. In their rush to get everything ready, they completely forgot a crucial, absolutely non-negotiable step. They forgot to worship Lord Ganesha first. And that was a huge mistake. And you can bet that this oversight didn't just slide. This brings us to part 2, Ganesha's anger. Forgetting him was a massive insult, and it was about to cause a serious, serious crisis. So, why was this such a big deal? You gotta understand the backstory here. There was a divine rule, a special blessing given to Ganesha by Shiva himself that said Ganesha must be worshipped first, before anything new starts, before any other god gets prayed to. We're talking a rule that even applied to Shiva. So by skipping him, the Devas weren't just being forgetful. They were being deeply disrespectful. And yeah, Ganesha was not happy. He was seriously insulted. And it wasn't just about his ego, you know? It was about a secret rule being broken. So he thought, okay, these guys clearly need a little reminder about how things work around here. He decided it was time to teach them a lesson they wouldn't forget. And his lesson came fast. Picture the scene. The war is about to start. Lord Shiva is all geared up, ready to step onto this glorious chariot. But just then, Ganesha does something sneaky. He just quietly removes the little pin holding the wheel's axle in place. So the moment the chariot starts to roll forward, bam, the wheel flies off and the whole thing just crumbles into a useless pile. Total disaster. You can just imagine the chaos, right? Everyone's freaking out. How could this happen right now of all times? They're scrambling around trying to figure out what went wrong, and then they see it. There's Ganesha just calmly holding the missing linchpin in his hand. And in that moment, it all clicks. The realization of what they'd done must have hit them like a ton of bricks. So they finally understood their mistake. But fixing it wasn't going to be easy. In fact, the price was going to be shocking. This leads us to part 3, the three-eyed sacrifice. And trust me, this is where things get really intense. They went to Ganesha, pleading with him to give back the pin. He says, sure, I'll give it back, but there's a catch. He laid down a condition that must have sent a chill down their spines. He demanded a sacrifice, specifically a three-eyed thing. Just imagine hearing that. A three-eyed thing. They were totally stunned. Horrified. Their minds were racing, trying to think of what that could possibly mean. But only one image, one being, came to mind. And here was their impossible dilemma. On one hand, you have Ganesha's condition, sacrifice a three-eyed thing. On the other hand, the only three-eyed being they could think of was Lord Shiva, the guy they desperately needed to save them. Were they really hearing this right? Was Ganesha asking them to sacrifice his own dad? It was just unthinkable. A completely impossible situation. So things are looking pretty grim. But just when it seems like there's no way out, someone has a flash of genius. This brings us to part 4, the coconut solution.
a perfect, brilliant answer to Ganesha's riddle.
As they were panicking, the light bulb went off. There was something else in the universe with 3 eyes. The humble coconut. You know those 3 little dark spots on the top? Those are its eyes. And that was the key. Ganesha had been very specific. He didn't ask for a 3-eyed being, he asked for a 3-eyed thing. It was a brilliant loophole. So, with the solution in hand, they rushed to make things right. First, they offered a coconut to Ganesha. Then they broke it right in front of him, a symbolic sacrifice. As a final act of apology, they did the thopakaranam, that kind of squat to show they were truly sorry. And it worked. Ganesha saw they were sincere, he was pleased, and he handed back the linchpin. The war was back on. Now, this incredible story isn't just some ancient tale. It leads us directly to part 5, the belief as it exists today, because it explains a ritual that you still see happening all the time. So the thinking goes like this. Ganesha, the remover of obstacles, is often in a state of super deep meditation. And the one sound that's sharp enough and loud enough to break through that meditation, you guessed it, the crack of a coconut. It's like a direct line to get his attention, to make him open his eyes and hear what you have to ask for. So, what does it all mean? Well, when you see a coconut being broken, it's packed with symbolism. First, it represents shattering your own ego, just like the gods had to. It's also that symbolic sacrifice, giving something up to get past a huge hurdle. And finally, it's that loud sound, a direct signal to Ganesha, asking for his immediate attention and his blessings. And there you have it. That's how a humble coconut became so important. It's just amazing to think that a simple ritual like this has such an epic story behind it. It really makes you think, what other everyday traditions have these incredible hidden stories just waiting to be discovered?